I love the game though. Don't get me wrong. I just wish they would fix the spirit and maybe make it a little bit less punishing if you don't get good RNG. See what I mean? I had no choice to die, but to die there. What was I supposed to do? I got stunned into oblivion. I wasn't allowed to roll. I always die there or right after that. I got to the 10 one time, and that was only because I got like god rolls on the stuff that didn't affect me, like fines and stuff. You guys want to do a lore video? Like, I love this game. I think it's clear because I have 3 characters on here already. She is just incredibly weak. Monk, pretty good. Mercenary, unfairly broken. You think I'm joking? He was under leveled the whole time fighting some of these bosses, and he would like 3-shot them. So I want you to know, it's not the Necromancer. I would just walk up to bosses and go bang bang, and they die. Wait, what lore video am I watching? You never gave me a lore video. Oh, I'm a stupid person. Yes, you did. You ready to lure it up, chat? You ready to lure it up? Let's lure it up.
Path of Exile 1's lore is stellar, but many people tune it out due to its presentation. However, it looks like Path...
No. Well, yeah, it is because of the presentation. The reason people don't pay attention to Path of Exile 1's lore is because it's in the middle of tons of mobs. You gotta click on it, and then the entire, like, focus on that game is constantly running, constantly going fast and, like, killing things. So you're not incentivized to wait there and listen to it. At all.
Path of Exile 2 will step up in the story department. To prepare anyone who has not played PoE 1 or did give it a go but never got into the lore but wants to know the essentials for Path of Exile 2, I present this video. Path of Exile 1's lore you need to know for Path of Exile 2.
I know most of it, actually. I know about Khan being a big cannibalistic nightmare for his own people. I know about,
Baka.
No, not Baka. I know about... I forget his name, but that demon guy trying to usurp everything. I've forgotten a lot of it, but like if you had asked me right after I'd played recently, probably would have been able to tell you more.
The Basics, Part 1 of 4. Moana Exiles talk to try here with another Path of Exile 1 and 2
He looks
video.
like one of my old
like the video if you end up
high school
liking it,
friends.
and make sure to subscribe to the channel for future content just like this. Thank you so much for watching. Topic 1. Rayclast. Almost all of Path of Exile 1 and 2's stories occur on the continent of Rayclast, defined very clearly as follows. Rayclast is a dark, brutal continent, scarred by mysterious catastrophes of the past and inhabited by creatures of nightmare. The very environment challenges exiles who dare explore it. The land is swarmed by monsters, inhabited by restless dead, plagued by vagabonds, despots, and of course, criminals like the player character in Path of Exile 1. We arrive in Rayclast originally as a form of punishment, unknowing that as an exile, those who banished us had far more dastardly intentions. There are tiny settlements across Rayclast, points of fading light in this abyssal void, but they are far and few between. Across these safe havens lies endless troves of danger, beasts, and invaluable items, like uniques and virtue gems, which we'll discuss soon.
Which is funny, they sent you to an island that basically gave you the strength to fight back against them. It's just funny to think
Exile
about.
2, it appears most of our journey will occur on the cursed wanderings of Rayclast, though there's always a chance we venture far and wide, or to another realm entirely. We'll discover the truth soon enough. Topic 2. Virtue Gems. Among these treasured objects are...
Kitava? Is that the big red one? I thought that was Khan. I thought that was Khan.
are arguably the most coveted artifacts across all of Rayclast, Virtue Gems. These magical
Isn't it Khan that's the one that's like... He's hated by his own, like... He's a deity, but he's hated by his own people because he's basically like... chaotic evil. He kept aiding his own people, killing his own people, screwing shit up. And they gave him way too many chances, and he just ruined things for them more and more and more. Or was that Katava?
Bags of rock embody all thaumaturgy, or magic, in Rayclast. They are also the skill and support gems our characters use to power almost every single one of our abilities. Every virtue gem is mined from the Great Mount Veruso, the titanic mountain which houses a creature called the Beast, which we'll discuss in a few moments. It's theorized that virtue gems are crystallized corruption that feed off the willpower of their user. They allow us to conjure fire from thin air, imbue our weapons with giantish might, and alter our abilities to do the impossible. The number of virtue gems in the wild is unknown, with some equating their quantity to flecks of sand on a beach. But it's well known they all originate from Rayclast and from within the Beast's confinements. In the past, civilizations attempted to encase virtue gems in their bodies, which led to catastrophic results, like the Gemlings. We'll talk about some of these civilizations.
Which, aren't we getting a class that's basically Gemlings? In 2? Isn't that what one of the mercenary classes? Or is it the monk class? It's one of the two that gets gems embedded in their body.
Momentarily. Over time, people discovered the best way to wield them was through weapons and other gear, which is why we slot them into our equipment in-game. We receive the immense power without the deadly cost. Without the strength intrinsic to virtue
Which brings that class into question.
gems, it's certain exiles like us in Path of Exile 1 would be unable to face the tremendous horrors of Rayclast. In Path of Exile 2, this is no different. Virtue gems remain the primary method of increasing our might and pushing further and further into the darkness and corruption of Rayclast. Though thanks to some mechanical system changes, we may have a few questions about virtue gems that shall need answering. Topic 3. The Vow.
Val are basically just, what is that tribe called again? I forget their name. The Aztecs. The Val is just the Aztecs.
Now, let's
The Aztecs were a bit crazy into the blood sacrifice and stuff.
explore 4 core civilizations and cultures integral to the story of Path of Exile 1, and most likely Path of Exile 2, beginning with the Vow. The most ancient of advanced civilizations to walk the continent of Rayclast were the Vow. They predate most of the well-storied cultures and stories of the current day,
Burger King
and were
fruit
among
lettuce.
the first to begin experimenting with virtue gems. With them, they gained great power over other cultures and creatures of Rayclast. One of the most famous savants of virtue gems was Doriani, a Val thaumaturgist who both led to the success and utter destruction of the Val. Or so it is thought. Although the Val were technologically advanced, with many of their remains in the present being high-functioning constructs and unbelievable structures.
But speaking on Katava, isn't Katava like one of Karn's friends or something? That's why Katava's one of the reasons Karn got away with so much.
One of the most basic urges of humankind was their downfall: greed. Under the direction of Atziri, the last queen of the Val, Doriani pursued the secrets of immortality and unrivaled power over others. This pursuit ended in a cataclysmic event during which the vast majority of the Val were killed and their country.
Kat, what was he talking about just now? Can't answer me, can you? Shame.
Wiped
Shame!
from the face of Rayclast. Beings of pure chaos, like chaos itself, suggest there's more to this apocalyptic event than is currently surmised. That perhaps the Val saved Rayclast from a terrible fate. But for now, all that's just a theory. With Path of Exile 2's third
game theory
act heavily influenced by the Val and exploring their decrepit but beautiful lands, we're certain to discover more about their culture and influence over Rayclast. Topic 4. The Karui. Another civilization native to the cruel land of Rayclast are the Karui. They live across the Great Karui Archipelago and Yamakanui in tribes, often in combat with each other, and great civilizations who encroach on the land of Rayclast, most notably the Eternals, who we'll discuss in a minute. Their vast conquest across mainland Rayclast are recounted as legend, and the figures who led their hordes are some of the most well-known in all of history, notably King Kaum and Queen Hiri, Kaum's niece. In Path of Exile 2, it appears we might venture into the Karui afterlife, the halls of the dead, where all the iconic people from Karui legend reside. We're also going to Nyamakanui itself. There, we'll likely learn much more about these Rayclast natives, how their story unfolds 20 years after the events of Path of Exile 1. Topic 5. The Eternals. Descended from distant Rayclast natives known as the Asmiri are the Eternals of the Eternal Empire. Ruled by a line of emperors from its capital of Sarn, the location of the Val Empire's long-gone capital, the Empire conquered a majority of mainland Rayclast and subjected much of the populace to its rule. Additionally, they acted as an extension of the Val in terms of civilization and virtue gem study.
My only, confusion about Eternals is I thought they were just conquerors.
One of their head thaumaturgists,
I didn't know they were that super related to Val.
Malachi, progressing virtue gem and thaumaturgy research like an echo of Doriani. They even had an entire horde, bolstered by virtue gems inserted into the beam. The Gemling Legions. After years of successful rule by legendary figures like Tarkus Veruso and Emperor Azaro Fretius, the Eternal Empire buckled under the rule of Chittus Perandus and a revolt known as the Purity Rebellion, headed by the rebel Vol. This conflict shaped the continent of Rayclast and enveloped numerous pre-existing factions. At its core, the rebellion focused on the wiping clean of the use and experimentation of virtue gems and thaumaturgy and the embrace of a monotheistic religion. Vol won, but in his victory and ascension to Emperor, Malachi, the aforementioned head thaumaturgist and imaginary descendant of Doriani, tricked Vol. Malachi promised he could bring an end to all thaumaturgy, but ended up spewing forth the cataclysm from within the beast, which brought an end to the Eternal Empire, killing the bulk of those who lived across the land and further corrupting all of Rayclast. More on the beast soon, and more on Malachi in the next video. Topic 6. The Templars. The Eternals were survived by the youngest of Rayclast civilizations, the Templar of Oriath, a culture devoted to the worship of God and the endowment of an orderly world. These people live on a tiny island off the southeast coast of Rayclast, their country founded by
Theopolis.
the followers of innocence, banished by the ancient Asmiri. Though they boast godliness, order, and righteousness, their true actions showcase anything but. Their civilization is built on the backs of Karui slaves. Their leaders, the High Templars, are mostly corrupt and knee-deep in following in Doriani and Malachi's footsteps. If you choose to play as a Templar in Path of Exile 1, he espouses as much. Still, they are the preeminent and most powerful civilization still breathing in Path of Exile 1 for most of the game. By the time Path of Exile 2 rolls around, they are beleaguered and broken, but still alive. Hints point at their possible resurgence, with a new hero at their helm, but nothing is yet confirmed. Topic 7. The Gods.
This dumb face. This dumb red tentacle face. Dummy.
In the earliest stirrings of the world, mortals could rise to become bastions of power, ascending above their fleshy compatriots. These larger-than-life entities were and still are called gods of Rayclast. Their power was derived from sheer number of worshippers and belief in them, for the most part. This rise to prominence caused them to become immortal, at the cost of their own humanity. Up until the point the beast was created, mortals could ascend to godhood using divine power. After the creation of the beast, new gods could not rise with the help of divinity, but plenty of mortals absorbed power using the strength of corruption. More on the beast next. In Path of Exile 2, the gods of Rayclast should be still alive and well, with many of the most well-known ones dead. killed by the protagonist of Path of Exile 1. It's a wonder which we'll encounter throughout the game, if we meet any at all, as the primary antagonists in PoE2's campaign seem to be attempting to recreate the device that affected every god in existence. Topic 8. The Beast.
I don't like the Beast for one reason and one reason only. Its dungeon is so ew.
Not all praise the monumental might championed by these all-powerful deities, and so one of their own, a god named Sin, engineered an abomination of a creature called the Beast, sometime between the prime of the Val and the wars of the Eternal Empire. Its creation ripped and spawned many magics in the world, and forced many gods into an eternal slumber, or suppressed their strength, and, many theorize, gave birth to thaumaturgy, and thusly, virtue gems. It would not be a stretch of reason to consider the Beast the source of all malformation in Rayclast. It accomplished the weakening of the gods, but gave birth to what many believe to be a far greater evil. Iconic figures like Doriani, Atziri, Malachi, and High Templar Dominus all tapped into the power of the Beast, known to them and others as Nightmare or Darkness. As mentioned before, the Beast resides in Mount Veruso, outside Highgate. It is large enough to walk through and is likely the source of all virtue gems across the planet. Some of these icons, like Malachi, sought to tame the Beast, but ended up becoming corrupted servants of it, spreading nightmare just as the Beast does. Although it does not do so intentionally, it is merely a side effect of its creation and intended purpose at the hands of Sin.
This dumb face.
When we venture
I think it's hilarious that Sin is the reason all of this is happening, and Sin is the one constantly trying to fix it.
inside the Beast in Act 4 of Path of Exile 1, slay Malachi, and then slay the Beast, the gods awaken, but virtue gems and thaumaturgy remain intact. Corruption stays spread throughout the world, but divine power has returned. It's very, very curious indeed. The power stored inside the Beast was near unparalleled, and there are those who seek to replicate its.
I'm guessing this is what we're following, is that the Beast has been like made so tiny now, and he's feeding it.
Sheer force of will over the entire world.
Well, he started the feeding of it.
We might just encounter some of those individuals in Path of Exile 2 as we chase the seed of corruption. Next up, the Path of Exile 1 campaign. Next up in this video series is the quick breakdown of Path of Exile 1's campaign.
Right. We'll watch the second one, yeah. Seems interesting. I'm hooked. Oh my god, this one's double the length.
Welcome to Path of Exile 1 lore you need to know for Path of Exile 2 Part 2, the campaign. If you missed Part 1, the link Rayclast after being banished to the mysterious continent by the leader of the sinister theocratic government of Oriath, High Templar Dominus. For example, the duelist is banished for killing a nobleman who insulted him. The witch is exiled for avenging the murder of her kin with the slaughter of a village. The Templar is sent to Rayclast for being too pious and disavowing the current Templar leadership. No matter which exile we play.
Too pious? I think everyone in the entire, everyone that's not corrupted should have looked at that and been like, huh?
We end up in a shipwreck and wash up on the shores of Rayclast on the Twilight Strand.
Although, yeah, totally the reason I play the witch. She murdered a village!
We make way.
Although, I feel like based in this particular case
to Lion Eye's Watch, an old outpost of the Eternal Empire. It's where General Marseilles Lion Eye battled and lost to King Kaum and Queen Hiri long ago, nearly cementing the defeats of the old Eternal Empire, the victory of High Templar Val, and the washing of a purity wave over Rayclast. Famously, when Marseilles fell in battle, Kaum added his head to his unmatched belt. Remember, The Eternal Empire is the last civilization to hold power over the vast majority of Rayclast, the continent. But their civilization ended at the hands of a thaumaturgist named Malachi. Why? Well, we'll explain further in a bit. In the tiny settlement, we meet Bestil, Nessa, and Tarkley, with the latter two providing us with the most information about Rayclast, Lion Eyes, and the surrounding lands. Bestil rhymes and yaps a bunch, which I can respect.
Does he? I'll be fair, I skipped a lot of this little village's dialogue.
Past Lion Eyes Watch,
I tried to start
we traverse
listening
the
to
wild
it.
coasts of Rayclast and enter Axiom Prison, an old structure of the Eternal Empire. Once it was ruled by a well-respected warden, Lord Incarcerator Brutus. Now it is a ruin overrun with undead and necromancers. We discover the upper prison is being used as a laboratory by an Oriathan woman named Piety. She's researching thaumaturgy, the twisted magic of Rayclast, as cataloged by a long-dead thaumaturgist transfigurist named Chevron. She runs before we may truly encounter her, and in pursuit, we come face to face with the reanimated corpse of Brutus, stitched together and empowered by Chevron herself.
Still not a
We
high
slay the
mercenary.
abomination, overcoming our first real match with thaumaturgy. And this is a...
Is it wrong of me to think that Patty's just a dumb butt? Am I wrong in thinking that?
key concept in Path of Exile lore. It's interwoven with civilizations past and present, although the villains so far, mostly Piety, rely on geniuses of a prior age, namely from the Eternal Empire. The first name we see is Chevron, but more will quickly pop up: Doedre and Meligaro. These are three names to likely remember for Path of Exile 2. And Path of Exile 1, of course, has no shortage of bringing the godless three up over and over. Thaumaturgy, or the wielding and twisting of dark magics and science, is the main weapon of antagonists in Part 1 of Path of Exile 1's campaign, and it's used for awful things. One example, of course...
Wait. Can you do that Can you do that in Path of Exile 1? I've never seen a chain fireball.
...is Brutus, the prison warden we just downed. He was rebuilt while living by Chevron, turned into a berserk weapon to be used against the rebels following High Templar Baal during the Purity Rebellion. But he ended up slaughtering his creator and becoming a near-eternal watcher of Axiom Prison. Hillock, the beast of a man we killed after first washing up on the Twilight Strand, was another, albeit different. His undeadification occurred due to the Eternal Empire ending Cataclysm that forever changed the face of Rayclast. Two very different thaumaturgical causes for abominations to be created, but very similar outcomes. This idea is almost 100% in Path of Exile 2, pursued by a very different, incredibly legendary individual. We pursue Piety outside the Warden's chambers, attempting to...
I feel like half of Exile 1 would be unnecessary if not for Piety. Piety's like... I have no sympathy for her because she creates half the problems in the first half. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't need to deal with half this crap.
Move inland, but she blocks our passage, forcing us to delve into the ship graveyard and then the lair of the Siren Merveil. With a quick stint speaking to Captain Fairgraves about a cursed object, we dive into the Siren's caves and learn of her downfall, yet again to a thaumaturgical object, the Star of Rayclast, rumored to be a necklace with a virtue gem pendant. For those who did not watch the basics of Path of Exile 1's lore video, virtue gems are crystallized corruption, stones that give
Wait, didn't you say that they're thought to be crystallized corruption? Semantics.
tremendous power, like the skills us exiles use, but can also negatively impact anyone who uses or wears them, particularly if they directly interact with your flesh. Their origins, while thought to be the beast, something we'll talk about very soon for the longest time, may be a little bit more ancient. The star, combined with the betrayal of her husband Doresso, turned the beautiful singer of the Grand Sarn Arena of the Eternal Empire into a twisted beast, a siren. Hundreds of years after her transformation, we slay her and enter the second act of Path of Exile 1, In Pursuit of Piety, and more answers. Act 2. Now inland, we reach the Forest Encampment, a settlement mostly run by Asmirians, the predecessors of the Eternal Empire, tribal and still alive. Inside are Groost and Asmiri with a disdain for outsiders.
I like Groose. I'm sad you have to kill him in, what is it, Act 3? Did you kill him?
Aramir, who is an old exile like us. Yina, who is a bit of a wild one. And Silk, who is quite...
Is she holding her breasts?
The talkative spider. In Act 2, we decipher a bit more about the Eternal Empire, the connection between piety and High Templar Dominus, why the two are so interested in the Eternals, and we learn a bit more about the Val, a civilization that far predated
The Aztecs. From what I gathered about them, they're literally just the Aztecs.
even the Eternals and the Asmirians. We discussed the Val in the first video. You need to remember them, and in particular, the mysterious Doriani, for when you play Path of Exile 2. Doriani was to the Val what Dominus and Piety are to the present, or Malachi was to the Eternal Empire. He was the master thaumaturgist and probably behind the downfall of the ancient Val civilization. More on him in Path of Exile 2. We learn the most from Aramir, the fellow Oriathan exile who once worked for Dominus and entertained the ambitious man's interests in the Eternal Empire's research of thaumaturgy. What a mistake that was. He provides insight on the next Eternal Dominus and Piety fancy, Inquisitor Malagaro, whose laboratory lies near the Forest Encampment, a fetid locale known as the Chamber of Sins. Remember, Malagaro matches with Chevron and Doedre. We head there and delve within, discover...
It's actually 15, number 15 earned. Are you talking about the Burger King foot lettuce still?
an imprisoned Oriathan woman named Helena. A former member of the Order of the Templar who served Piety, she witnessed both Piety and Dominus's insane lust for power. As a devout of the Ebony Legion, she thought the duo were working to restore the Eternal Empire with their study of its lost icons. But in truth, they merely seek the power locked within thaumaturgy and virtue gems. Men like Malagaro further experimented on virtue gems to increase their immense corruptive power, like one such craft known as the Baleful Gem, which we find when we rescue Helena. A failed experiment, it's an example of what Piety and Dominus might wish to accomplish. With guidance from Aramir and Helena, we push through the wilds of Rayclast and...
Wasn't our main goal to get back to the mainland? I thought that was your, like, character's main goal at the start, at least. Maybe I didn't pay enough attention.
break through a blocked-off Val ruin using a concoction brewed by the long-gone Malagaro. Inside, we surpass Val constructs and the living Val dead, until we accidentally unleash a great darkness upon Rayclast. It washes over the region, but its focal point lies at the apex of the pyramid, stored with a conjoined creature of metal, thaumaturgical and scientific might, the Val Oversoul. Dormant for centuries, if not longer, it awakens, the darkness giving it some semblance of sentience.
The darkness.
Astonishingly, we, between slams, lasers, and balls of freezing cold, deconstruct the odd Val machine. The Val, gone as they are, wiped from the world in an instant, left behind a fantastical array of vile machinations and undiscovered secrets. If only there was a way we could see them at their peak, when they wielded the brutal might of thaumaturgy with the genius of Doriani. The way forward opened to what's left of the city of Sarn, the old capital of the Eternal Empire, and thusly Piety and our exiler High Templar Dominus. We slide down the side of the Val Pyramid and enter the dilapidated lands of the once great Eternals. Act 3. Act 3 pits us directly against the servants of Piety and Dominus as we breach our way to each of their respective thaumaturgical laboratories. Concurrently, we decipher what these two are meaning to do with their time in Rayclast. We enter the ruins of Sarn and quickly save a woman named Clarissa, who points us to the crematorium, a smaller experimental hub for piety where she's currently tormenting Clarissa's love, Tolman. Therein, we find Tolman too late and battle Piety and her Blackguard servants for the first real time, only for her to teleport away. It seems she was attempting to lodge virtue gems into Tolman to no...
Oh, okay, so that's why they killed that guy. I was always wondering what was the point of killing him. Because it didn't seem like he was that important. I was kind of confused about that one. They just decided to pick a random guy on the street. Let's dissect you and try to shove crystals up your fanny.
Avail. Back in the Sarn encampment, a fraction of what the Eternal Capital once looked like, we meet Hargan, a bombastic but conniving merchant, Maramoa, a Karui descendant of Kaum who intentionally became an exile to be free of slavery in Oriath, and Grigor, a fleshy shell of an Ezomite man who was experimented on by Piety. We learn from Grigor and few other places in Act 3 that Piety is attempting to recreate the genius of the Eternals' Gemling Legion. Back in their prime, the Eternals managed to socket virtue gems into humans, creating formidable weapons of war. However, the process is meticulous, the repercussions of mistakes massive, and the secrets to actually succeeding seemingly lost to the thaumaturgists of the present. Keep Gemlings in your mind for Path of Exile 2 as well, as one of the ascension options of the Path of Exile 2 mercenary class is indeed a Gemling Legionnaire. And as we've seen with the huge improvements to Path of Exile storytelling in the sequel, this will have lore repercussions as it did with Grigor and other Gemlings, attempted and full-on warrior monstrosities.
I have to say, some of this stuff is definitely interesting.
Also discovered Grigor felt something that surpassed his limits of mortal comprehension when Piety was grafting his body, some creature to which he was but a raindrop falling into a sea. He heard Piety call this creature the Beast to her lackeys, a being to which she owed all thaumaturgy, a being which was the object of her ambitions. Grigor claims this beast is the source of all malformation in Rayclast. Inspired by the troop at the Sarn encampment, we first head to the Solaris Temple to confront one of Dominus's top men, General Gravicius, easily down him, and end up meeting with one of the last remaining original Gemlings, Lady Diala, the Gemling Queen. Over 200 years old when we meet her, she was a gift to Malachi, Master Thaumaturgist of the Eternal Empire. Poor Diala obviously has lost her mind. She was a plaything of Emperor Chittus, one of the rulers of the Eternals, and Malachi after him. And as a toy of Malachi, he turned her into a Gemling. Obviously, he was more successful than Piety, but even with such...
Wait, so Malachi turned her into a Gemling? Well, that explains a lot. I always thought her head had tentacles on it. I'm gonna be honest. How's Path treating me, Jiffy? I got the unfortunate glitch where my spirit's broken. That's the only reason I haven't been playing that much. Maybe if I got like a better staff.
Good morning, the Boka.
Yeah. I think it's literally just if I got a better staff, that might offset the fact that my spirit's messed up.
Success. He ruined the mind of Lady Diala. With her help, us exiles also called not a cockroach by Lady Diala.
I love that she calls us that. I'm sorry, but that's like my favorite thing about Path 1 is getting to speak to her, and she calls you not a cockroach. Thank you, not a cockroach. I love her. I adore her.
Pursue Piety into the deepest reaches of the Lunaris Temple, which she has transformed into a pit of torture, bloodshed, and thaumaturgical thought. At least thousands are dead in the depths of the Lunaris Temple, victims of Piety's attempts at mimicking the likes of Malachi in pursuit of the Beast. It appears the disgust present in this area of Path of Exile 1 might just be surpassed in Path of Exile 2, with someone also in love with death and corruption. At long last, with nowhere to run, we confront...
Like, man, how can anyone have any type of pity for her when they see that this is her laboratory?
Piety, who has been helping Dominus send more and more exiles to Rayclass to experiment on with virtue gems and other thaumaturgical designs, all in pursuit of this dark beast and the power it holds. Alone, she dies, and on her body is the key to the Scepter of God, where High Templar Dominus awaits. We rush across the remnants of the Empire to the gargantuan Scepter of God, a structure so massive it's incomprehensible to the minds of mere humans. Atop it is High Templar Dominus's laboratory, wherein he seeks to make Nightmare a reality. We battle through Emperor Chitis's beasts and creations of Dominus, navigating a twisted maze of experimental devices, ruined chambers, and toppled staircases. At the tower's pinnacle, we find Dominus and a host of misfigured miscreants, injected with nightmare, virtue gems, and whatever foul machinations High Templar Dominus could find in his eternal Empire research. Pack by pack, we overcome them, until High Templar Dominus addresses us, an exile capable of confronting him, and attacks. We best his mortal form, but then he claims reality is an illusion, before sinking into the very fabric of Rayclass, emerging from the reality hole as a malignant, demonic abomination with very little of his self remaining. Blood rains down on us as we fight the monstrosity, but we succeed in our mission of revenge, slaying High Templar Dominus, ending he and Piety's exiling and experimentation of criminals and innocents alike. What the heck just happened, though? As soon as Dominus falls, Lady Diala, the Gemling Queen, portals in and congratulates us on killing the Bug Emperor, but beckons we continue to Highgate and Mount Baruso beyond that, where we shall dive headlong into the Nightmare Sea and...
I'll say this, though. One of the reasons why you can't really follow the lore when you're just playing is they constantly refer to the beast as 3 different things: nightmare, darkness, beasts, corruption. Like, it is all those things, but like, consistency, man.
Catch and roast ourselves a nice big fishy. Despite her obvious rambling insanity, she knows something more, something important about the past that must lie in Highgate and the mountain beyond, something that answers the questions we have. So we listen to the Gemling Queen. Part 1 of Path of Exile 1's campaign comes to a head in Act 4, which is likely one of the most consequential portions of the entire Path of Exile 1 narrative for Path of Exile 2, but it's incredibly simple. Dominus, Piety, Chavron, Maligaro, Malachi, really every big bad evil guy in Rayclass history seems to derive their power from this one creature vital to the Act 4 narrative. Even us exiles, using virtue gems in our gear, derive power from it, in a way, we believe. Act 4 brings us, finally...
Well, here's my thing about that, and why I don't understand it too much. Like, if this is like all of the power's coming from, when you basically kill it, isn't that what you do at the end, basically? Shouldn't like all the gems lose their power?
To, and quite literally into, the beast. In Highgate, a town built on the side of Mount Veruso, we meet various individuals who live in the shadow of this terrible mountain and realize the beast lives within its core. Herein, we meet Pataris, Vanja, Kira, Tasuni, Oyun, and meet up with Lady Diala once more, who helps us burrow inside the belly of the beast using the machine her lover and demise, Malachi, used to enter the beast initially. During this act, we learn a bit more about Vol and his purity rebellion against the darkness of the Eternal Empire, then a bit more about Kaum and Dureso, 2 characters we've already mentioned. We leap into distant realities, the dreams of Kaum and Dureso, to help
I'm gonna say it. Comes a dumb, like, they should have not as gotten as strong as they did. With how many stupid things they did in there, they should have been banished and killed. And because if you read the lore on him, like, he caused so many problems for his own people that it's a wonder he got where he is, where he got.
Help repower the Rapture device to break into.
I don't care that he's strong and stuff. He should have been gotten rid of. With all the things he did that ruined his people,
the living beast alongside Lady Diala.
I'd have been like, son, time to go.
We down the memories of both Rayclastian legends.
you outta
take
here.
Their essence to Lady Diala. She attempts to turn on Malachi's ingenious device, and it tears a way into the belly of the beast. This is from where Malachi unleashed the Cataclysm onto Rayclast, forever corrupting the land. Walking now on the flesh of a seemingly primordial being, we slaughter our way nearer to the beast's heart until we stumble upon an old foe, Piety. Corrupted and vile, we strike her down, and she reveals it was Malachi who initially reached out to her, courted her into Nightmare, made her a slave, and he's alive and well inside the black core of the beast. Yes,
I also don't understand why the dude decided to live inside of the beast. Like, what you doing in there, buddy? You having fun?
Malachi is actually alive. He didn't die during the Cataclysm, but he did unleash it upon the Eternal Empire. He lives on inside the depths of the beast, believing it to be tamed, his own nightmare-made reality. In truth, it appears the beast has consumed him and left him trapped inside. He enlisted the trusted Godless Three, Inquisitor Malagaro, Chavron of Umbra, and Doedre Darktongue to guard the path into the black core of the beast. If we down them and bring Piety, now our ally, what remains of them, she'll be able to open the way to Malachi, and we can end this once and for all. We find the organ.
Which, like, I don't think that still absolves her.
Bring them to Piety.
I think you
and
killed a
finally,
bit too many
in the
people.
literal guts of the quivering beast, we duel Malachi alongside her. The ruined thaumaturge mocks us throughout the battle, corrupting Piety and drawing on her life force. Alas, we rip the corruption from her, and she continues to batter the master thaumaturge until he implants her on a massive scepter and retreats into the deepest innards of the beast. Piety tries to pull herself from the stake, but cannot. She beckons us to finish Malachi once and for all. So we pursue the nightmare into his final destination. Beleaguered and bloody, we match Malachi and eviscerate hearts of the titanic beast, one by one, until we slay the last organ and deal the killing blow to Malachi, whose demonic body implodes before exploding in a mess of gut and bone. Malachi?
Most like, what's the word? Most satisfying moment of Path 1.
Is dead.
And this guy
The
gets
beast
blooped.
is also dead. Supposedly the source of all malformation and thaumaturgy in Rayclast. What are the repercussions of this? How did the beast
Almost nothing, honestly.
come to be? Could there be others? Well, we discover the answers to some of those questions quite quickly in Path of Exile 1, and others in the sequel, Path of Exile 2. A tiny spoiler for the very first cutscene in Path of
Because
Exile.
you're still able to use magic after you kill everything. You think the epilogue's about?
Exile 2's introduction. This right here is another beast, a seed of corruption.
Hi, Doctor.
And the initial antagonist
Hope you're doing well.
of Path of Exile 2, the Iron Count Gianor, who is attempting to foster the seed's vile growth, alongside a mysterious woman and champion of light. I couldn't be more excited to dive into what exactly that means and how it will play out. The beast we encounter is old, incredibly ancient, as we discover almost immediately in the next act of Path of Exile 1. Act 5. The final 6 acts of Path of Exile 1 comprise the campaign's second part,
I'm okay
and they
now.
tell a
I
very different
appreciate your
style of
concern,
story
my
than Part
friend.
1, in a completely new manner. Wherein the tale of Acts 1 through 4 may be seen and summarized as a down-to-earth story about corruption and revenge, Acts 5 through 10 up the stakes massively, creeping us exiles into the realm of God-slayers by partway through Act 5. As a whole, I reckon few of the plot points and characters introduced during these acts will be truly consequential to Path of Exile 2, unlike the story beats outlined for Acts 1 through 4, and the upcoming lore content in the endgame and league breakdown videos. The few with consequences shall be highlighted now, alongside brief snippets about all the named icons in this part of the game afterward. To kick off Act 5, we learn Theopolis, the capital of Oriath, and the Order of the Templar is in disarray.
Of course it'd be in disarray. You killed the people that were basically controlling it. But now all the other people that were corrupted as well, who don't have any type of secretive, plans or anything, are just destroying everything.
Karui slaves and others rebelling against the Templar overseers. Oriath is
that too.
Those things you'll want to remember. We climb Mount Veruso to activate a portal that brings us to Oriath, wherein we discover the entire city of Templars is alight. Something has caused this mighty rebellion that we decide to take a part of. We side with the rebels and defeat the dead Dominus' successor, High Templar Avarius. We battle through the streets of Theopolis and into the Chamber of Innocence, a temple dedicated to the Templars' chief deity, wherein we duel High Templar Avarius and quickly dispatch of him. However, upon his demise, a being of pure radiance bursts from his body, the Templar deity Innocence. He's another person you want to remember. Barely, we down
It's
him
I don't understand the whole Innocence is a bad guy, then a good guy, then a... are they still a good guy?
as well, but upon his defeat, something whisks him away and another form manifests before us, a being opposite to Innocence in all ways, black as night and steady-voiced. His name is Sin, another god of Rayclast, and the brother to Innocence. Sin is the next vital character, introduced in Acts 5 through 10. Sin explains the breadth of the situation. Somehow,
Dumb face. This guy, dumb face.
the gods have returned to Rayclast. Among them, himself,
I'm not salty about them killing me a lot when I first played this game, no.
his brother,
Dumb
Innocence,
face.
who he shot to a new host, and Kitava, the Karui god of hunger, who is the cause for catastrophe in Bel.
Karn and Kitava, the hell, both of them did so much stupid stuff that they should have been dead long before they got to be a god.
Developing Oriath. He claims to essentially save all of Rayclast, Kitava must be slain using Innocence's Sign of Purity. Though we obtain the Sign of Purity, we nearly fall in our battle against Kitava, but are saved by Sin, who beckons us to return to Rayclast, Lion-Eye's Watch in particular, and grow in strength. Acts 6 through 8. This brings us to Act 6.
In my opinion, the slowest acts.
Where we immediately learn the biggest plot point of the entirety of Part 2. The beast was created by Sin long ago to put the gods of Rayclast to sleep and hopefully save humanity. Sin made it to free humanity from the tyranny of gods. But humans like Queen Atziri, Doriani, Emperor Chitis, Malachi, and others before them manipulated the beast for their own gain. We learn the thing that, to many, is the source of virtue gems, of all corruption, of all thaumaturgy, is meant to be a dormant, kind creature, attempting to keep the world safe. That obviously did not happen. Succinctly, when we killed the beast and Malachi in Act 4, we reawakened all the sleeping gods of Rayclast. Acts 6 through 10 see us venturing across mostly already trodden grounds, slaying deities alongside Sin, him gathering
I'm gonna
their
go grab my
essence
food,
alongside
guys.
us, and us attempting to
Alright, let's finish this up.
Dark Ember, to recreate the seed that first spawned the beast. To do so, we revisit the souls of Chevron, Malagaro, and Doedre, Malachi's most trusted, dedicated thaumaturgists, and collect the necessary materials to re-enter the deceased beast and spark the Dark Ember for a final battle with Kitava, god of hunger. This entire lore thread is almost certainly vital to Path of Exile 2's story, from what we know and have seen in trailers. We'll revisit the Dark Ember in Path of Exile 1 at the end of Act 9, right before entering the 10th Act. The remainders of Acts 6 through 9, we fight and slay 12 gods and goddesses of Rayclast while re-encountering reimagined versions of the Godless 3 of the Eternal Empire. 12 gods downed and humanity a bit safer for the time being, we enter the still remains of the beast, killed by us at the end of Act 4. Act 9 and 10. Chevron of Umbra's passionate spirit obtained in Act 6, Inquisitor Maligaro's sinister soul ripped in Act 7, Doedre Darktongue's septic soul stolen in Act 8, and us the Exile, now deep within the rotting, dark core of the beast in Act 9, Sin weaves the souls all together to form the unholy trinity and spark the beast's dark ember once more. We overcome this horrific abomination and, dark ember in Sin's hand, we survive a wave of blood and set sail once more to Oriath to confront and kill Kitava.
I still don't understand why we revived it to kill it again.
Seemingly,
or did he just explain that? And I just completely didn't understand.
10, we discover Oriath has become a massive bloody tomb. Bodies flowing the way of Kitava, the god fed by a slew of cultists. With the help of Sin, we awaken innocence at the sacrifice of one of our noble allies, Banon, and team with the two brother gods, once mortal enemies, to kill Kitava. We slaughter our way through hordes of Kitava cultists and abominations before confronting the god of hunger deep in his ruined lair above Oriath. Though the battle is hard fought, with the assistance of Innocence, Sin, and the Dark Ember, Kitava explodes in a nova of blood and bone taken from this world.
Does he explode? I thought he kind of ruptures. He didn't really explode.
We regroup back at the Oriath docks with Sin and Innocence, learning that Innocence has imposed self-exile on himself for the millions of people he has murdered, and shall venture as far south as one can go. As for Sin, well, Sin rejoices in the death of Kitava, but past that, we know little. As we slew each deity from Acts 6 to 10, Sin was always alongside us, gathering their power. Perhaps he used it to destroy Kitava. Perhaps he has drawn most of it into himself with a little spreading to us. Perhaps there's a darker side to Sin than we know. The Dark Ember was supposedly used in the battle against Kitava. We think. Nothing comes of it after Kitava dies, and we don't see it during the battle. Could this Dark Ember, a seed of the beast, just be out there with Sin or lost by him at some point after the battle with the god of hunger? More gods, like Sin, Innocence, and Tangmazu, still wander Rayclast, though Sin can barely sense them. Their presence may wane with time, or grow as they find more people to flock to their might. What's known is the tremendous impact the creation and death of Sin's beast had on Rayclast. Without it, gods ran amok before. Once it was created, a period of tranquility existed, but those with ambitious evil quickly took hold of the peaceful beast and used it for ill gain, to spawn at least 2 cataclysms upon Rayclast during the peak of the Val and the Eternals. Then, once it was slain, gods once again rampaged across the world. But for us, the Exile, they were no match. With only a few gods remaining, and no beast alive to check their power, what will happen, if anything, in Path of Exile 2? Will the gods...
Doesn't seem like it did anything. A human trapped Sin and unleashed the beast, so...
irrelevant? Well,
doesn't seem like the gods did anything.
In 20 years. Especially if there's some new eldritch thaumaturgical debauchery involved. And, as we mentioned before, a brand new beast. Next up, with Kitava and 12 other rampaging gods killed, us exiles temporarily celebrate a job well done. We are now god slayers, but little do we know the horrors that await us beyond our own world, even if they may have originated from it. Next up, we discuss the various endgame lore of Path of Exile 1, from the Shaper to the Searing Exarch. After that...
Aren't those basically just outer gods, basically? But okay. I kind of understand the lore a bit more. That's pretty good.